Hi everyone, this is Sai Teja from CSCAML section. Today my tech talk topic is about monitoring focus listening. Let's go into a topic. Today we are going to learn about the metacognitive strategies in listening comprehensive and monitoring strategies in listening comprehensive, research methodology, and also we can conclude the what we are learning from the monitoring strategies in listening comprehensive and the final conclusion. Let's get into our topic. Listening is the ability to identify and understand what others are saying. This involves understanding a speaker's accent or pronunciation, his grammar, his vocabulary, and grasping his meaning. Especially for English foreign language, students are an ability to listen English oral text should be possessed because listening has rightly assumed a central role in learning language. We are just is a brief part about the listening is the ability and how the listening can have the pronunciations, grammar, vocabulary, and also meaning of the grasping. Especially English student, foreign language is different as compared to our local language. Listening comprehension is needed by the students by comprehending the text. They can complete listening task well, but it is not easy way for the students. Some of them feel most frustrated and helpless. Some of strategies that can solve their problem in completing listening task is metacognitive strategies. Many research finding reported that metacognitive strategies play an important role in listening. It helps students to improve their listening comprehension since the strategies guide the students to plan, to monitor, to solve, and to evaluate their listening process. In this process, while we are listening, comprehension is needed by the students because with the help of these strategies only, students can improve his language in a better way. For that, he need some guidelines like planning, monitoring, solving, evaluating, and also listening and also responding is the main theme of the listening process. There were many problems for monitoring strategies found in the second year students in listening comprehension of English department at Strain but Sangakkar. The researcher did a preliminary observation in listening comprehension class. She observed and interviewed many students. Based on the observation and interview was found some of the students had problems in applying monitoring strategies. In whistle listening activities, while they were listening, they were seldom to check their comprehension by asking whether the text made sense for them. While they're listening from the speaker, they has to understood and evaluate the what they are listening. Without the understood, they can't giving feedback or respond to that what they are listening. So that they has to follow the some strategies like applying monitoring strategies like listening and remembering and evaluating the what they are listening from the speaker so that they can remember it and they can respond or they can give feedback to the speaker. It affected to the way they identify the problem in listening activities. They also got trouble to identify specific information of the text. As a result, they could not identify critical information and lost their understanding of the text that affected to their comprehension. In addition, they did not know how to use the language rules such as grammar, of phonology and morphology in comprehending the text. In spite of this, by understanding and using language rule is listening, they could comprehend what the speaker said easily and they could produce their language accurately. Furthermore, furthermore, they got trouble in contextualizing the information from the text recorded in their mind. While they were listening, they should contextualize the text with their background knowledge and experience. While they are listening from the speaker, they have to analyze the situation with their imagination and they can remember for that, they can understood and remember for a long time. by their imagination, with their ideas and thoughts through the information from the speaker. They can remember for a long time and they can easily give the response to the speaker. So these are the few steps on monitoring strategies. Metacognition strategies in listening comprehension. Metacognitive strategies is one of the strategy is used in listening comprehension. The strategies can help the students to comprehend the text. O'Malley, Camet, and Cooper and Rubin suggest that metacognitive strategies involving knowing about the learning and control learning through planning, monitoring, evaluating learning activity. Explaining that metacognitive strategies refer to an understanding of the ways different factors act and interact to the effect, the course and outcome of the cognitive enterprises. In particular, described to strategies in monitoring process, whilst listening activities, namely selective attentive and directive attention, which means by listening from the speaker, some of them are selectively attention, means some of them like to listen from the speaker, some are don't like to listen from the speaker. Some of them it's a one type, and the another one is direct attention, which means nobody like to tell to them, because they directly like the say, listening from the speaker, and they directly attention to that speaker what he was telling, and that he can remember for a long time, and he can evaluate and remember, so that he can give feedback to the speaker. From the previous theories about it can be concluded that metacognitive strategies may include planning, monitoring, problem solving, and evaluating strategies. In planning strategies, the learners may active their background knowledge about the incoming input and set a purpose some questions before listening. Monitoring deals with maintaining an awareness of what he has previously been set up and tracking information if it satisfies the questions and tasks. Problem solving refers to identifying a particular problem that may occur while listening and finding the solution to the problem. Evolution allows to the learners to reflect upon their involvement during the process of listening, identifying the strengths and weaknesses. Such strategies would obviously be applied throughout the pedagogical sequence of pre-listening, listening, and post-listening activities, so that such a sequence attains meaning. While listening from the speaker, he has to speaker can understand listen by listening the topic from the speaker, he can identify the strengths and weaknesses, so that he can easily listening, and he can remember for a long time, evaluating the situation and monitoring and problem solving, so that he can plan the strategies to how to remember, and he can give response to that speaker. Monitoring strategies in listening comprehension. It is no doubt that students self-monitoring is needed to monitor the learning in listening. Due to it can encourage them to write down their most significant difficulties in their listening and try to eliminate them. It is also useful to track the cause of problem in listening. While we are listening, you can write on the piece of note, and you can, while you are practicing, you can understood the difficult words, and you can, if you unable to know that difficult words, you can simply eliminate, and you simply what you have learned and what you written on the notes, you can simply listen it, and you can understood that and evaluate and respond to that speaker. They can evaluate their listening comprehension by using checklists, diaries, or journals. In these three kinds, we can evaluate their listening comprehensions like checklist and diaries, and also journals. It can help them evaluate their progress. Daily, you can use these three components. You can improve your language and evaluate the, you can easily identify the progress, how you are going to daily, day by day, you are improving. The more specific students in self-monitoring, the more accurate the competencies. Suggest 9 strategies in monitoring that can be applied by the students in listening comprehension. The first strategy is asked if it is makes sense. The strategy encourages checking students' understanding of listening text by asking themselves whether the text is making sense to them. By listening this strategy, the students can keep track of what they were doing to identify the problems. In this, we can understood that the most specific students can understood by the self monitoring. Self monitoring is the best way so that you can easily identify and increase your accuracy with the comprehension. Self monitoring can be applied by the students in listening comprehension. It can be further improve the students by the listening so that he can remember it, evaluate to the speaker for a long time. The strategy motivates choosing to focus on a specific aspect of the strategy motivates choosing to focus on specific aspect of language or situational details that will help the students to perform the task. To apply this strategy, the students decide to focus on specific information in the listening text to make them easier to identify. The critical information to get the goal of listening task. In applying this strategy, they give full concentration and ignore distraction in listening. They have to focus on information that they know to help them understand and comprehend the text well. The strategy encourages them focus on information that they don't know in listening in order to pinpoint problems and expand their listening comprehension. In the strategies, motivate the students by to focus on the especially language or situation details. It will be apply this strategy. The students decide to focus on the special information in listening text so that he can identify the critical information to get aware of it and applying this strategy they will full concentration and ignore distraction in listening so that they have focus on information to help them understand and comprehend the text well. The strategy encourages them focus on information that they don't know in listening in order to pinpoint problems, expand their listening comprehension. In conclusion, monitoring strategy can help the students to monitor the information from listening text by applying 9 strategies above in which listening activity. These strategies should be applied by the students in listening comprehension with 2 reasons. First, they monitor how they comprehension while they were listening the text. Second, the monitoring the information from listening text by making adjustments to how they completing the listening task efficiently. If they apply these strategies in correct way, they can increase their comprehension. So finally, we conclude that monitoring strategy can help the students monitoring by the following the 2 strategies. First one is monitor the comprehension while they were listening the text. While they are listening, the text, the conference, the monitor, and the second one is the information from listening by text by making adjust so that they can understood the text what they are from the listening so that he easily he remember and efficiently he will increase that day by day. This is the 2 strategies in the you can use in a correct way. They can increase their comprehension in the monitoring listening skills. Research methodology. The method of the research was qualitative research which applied case study design. It investigate what monitoring strategies used by students and how they applied in their listening comprehension. The research was conducted at Stein Buxkangar. The participants of the research were English students who have taken listening comprehension of them have been chosen to the interview by using purposive snowball sampling technique. Okay. The instrument of the research were observation, interview, and questionnaire. Observation and questionnaire were used to record and collect real information about monitoring strategies used by students in listening comprehension. Another data was interview. It was used to obtain data and explain what monitoring strategies used by students and how they applied monitoring strategies in listening comprehension. We can see in the monitoring strategies how the students was used that strategies in the listening comprehension, and how they overcome the interview and questionnaire from the interviewer and questionnaire, and how they analyze that situation and they overcome that situation. We can learn, we can identify them by the noting their data findings. Based on the data they had been collected, there were some findings of the research. The students applied monitoring strategies in listening comprehension based on data analysis. Most of students used monitoring strategies in sufficient category with the percentage of 34.07%. The sufficient category with the percentage of students applied monitoring strategies in listening comprehension. And the second one, the students who were categorized very good, good, sufficient, and poor category have applied asking if it made sense strategy in correct way. Well, these few students with the good, very good, sufficient, poor category have applied, which they make sense in the text they are listening. The way they applied it was asking their comprehension, vocabulary, and details information about the text. They are asking their comprehension about the vocabulary and details information about the text to them. Whereas the good and sufficient students need to develop the strategy in correct way, because many of them could not explain the way they applied this strategy. While a few students they applied the strategy, a few good students can develop the strategy in a correct way, because many of them couldn't explain the way they applied the strategy. The students who were categorized very good and good categorized applied selective. The students who were categorized very good and good category applied selective attendance strategy better than sufficient and poor category. They applied it by finding the general and detailed information from the text. What the text they are listened, they finding the general and detailed information, and they applied the strategy which they know. The students were categorized very good and poor category have applied induction and deductive strategy better than good and sufficient category. The way they applied was using uh, language rules such as grammar to understand the text, but they did not apply phonology or morphology. While there were many students in good and sufficient category who did not explanation the way applied their strategies in monitoring their learning. In the monitor learning, they applied the strategy of phonology or morphology, but they did not give explanation. They were applied this strategy. Conclusion. There were 9 strategies applied by students on monitoring related to their applied this strategy. The student from very good until poor category have applied asking if it made sense strategy in correct way. They are asking if it made sense. They are applied the strategy. The students have very good and good category applied selective attendance strategy better than sufficient and poor category. Well, compared to better and poor category, the good and very good category applied selective attendance strategy, which means they know strategy they are applied as compared to the poor and sufficient category. The students from very good and poor category have applied reduction and deduction strategy better than good and sufficient. It is same as compared to good and sufficient. They applied reduction and deduction strategy as compared to the good and sufficient. Same as in the other category, they uh, they were good until poor category had some way to apply personal or control strategy. The students who categorize as well, very good until poor students have applied a strategy of not almost in same way. The students from very good and sufficient students had implemented imaginary strategy uh, in the corrected ways. We can see as comparing the students who were categorized very good and good category applied a selective attendance strategy better than sufficient and poor category. As comparing sufficient and poor category, they were applied very nice, and Finding the general and detailed information from the text. These are the few examples. And finally, we conclude that the students from very good and sufficient students have implemented imaginary strategy in the correct ways. What the strategies they have they implemented very correctly, and they overcome that situation from the questionnaire and uh, interviewer. Thank you all.